Well, hello to all of you, and let me officially, as a Canadian, say welcome to my home country. It has obviously been an incredible day. I've been here with my friend Liz for the past hour and a half, listening in on many of the last presentations, and I see so many good friends in the audience who are doing incredible work, not only in this space, but in so many others. And to get together to have a collective conversation on how we can move things forward is so powerful. Walking in today, there is, and you've all seen it, that step and repeat that says, every minute a child dies of malaria. It stopped me dead in my tracks. I just had to stand there for a second and look at it and soak that in. There was another moment that stopped me pretty much dead in my tracks, and that was in 2022, when serving as our international president, I took a trip to Zambia at the point in time that we were looking at our first program of scale. As you've heard many times over, I'm sure today, our wonderful program that launched with our original partners of World Vision, the Gates Foundation, Rotary, and of course, PATH helping us lead and drive the way, and as, of course, MPI. While I was on that trip, we met with a group of business leaders, and there was a room maybe not as full as this one is today, but there were a number of people. And I asked a question. How many of you here have either had malaria or have had a family member have malaria? Every single hand in the room went up. I was really taken aback. Let's do it here. How many of you have either had it or have been touched by someone near you who has had it? Yeah, this is real. This is not something distant. It is something that is personal, and it's something that is meaningful. But that day, when I asked that question of these community business leaders, the one thing that was really the differentiation was that they had access to tools, to medical care, to treatment, to being able to be diagnosed. So then days later, when we went into rural Zambia to go and start to meet with community health workers who were being trained to treat and diagnose, it was a different story. So one day, with a camera crew, we went into an area, and I had the chance to meet a father and a son. The father's name was Timothy, and his young son, Nathan. I was joined by my friend Martha. Martha, where are you in this room? There you are, right in front of me. Martha was sitting here, Nathan was sitting here, and Timothy was sitting there. And we were sitting in front of a thatched home in a rural part of the community, and we had a camera crew set up in front of us. You know that beautiful time of the day that we call the golden hour, when the sun is just starting to make everything look magical? The wind was blowing on the crops, the light was perfect, the cameras were rolling, and I started to talk with Timothy about his story. He wanted to share what he had been through. He told us, Martha and I, about how young Nathan had exhibited signs of malaria. He recognized them, but there wasn't yet a community health worker in his community. And so what he did, after he realized that Nathan needed care, was he threw him onto his back. He got onto a bicycle, and he rode forever, pedaling harder and harder and faster to get to a medical center. When he finally arrived, he could already feel little Nathan's legs going cold, going limp. He ran in with his child, screaming, "Someone help my child, please help my child." They were able to help him, and that's why he was sitting on the bench that day. And then he told us the story of his other son, who exhibited the same signs and went through the same challenging run to the medical center, but he didn't make it. We asked the cameras to stop. We sat there in silence. And Timothy got up and he walked over a little ways away. He was sobbing. And I went over to put my arms around him, and he clung on. And he said, "I lost my son. I lost my son." That day was profound. In the days that followed, we had a chance to go and see the communities where community health workers had been selected, where we had made the progress in this first program of scale to try and reduce the malaria mortality in the communities we were looking at by 50%. And as they were trained and selected personally by their communities, because they wanted to have the person in their community that they trusted, when we saw the results, it was astounding. And that's why and when we knew scaling this had to happen. And that's why Rotary Healthy Community Challenge was born. Now, the great thing about all of this is that it's been able to scale. But we already heard about the lessons learned from polio. And I think this is where the story gets really interesting. You as a collective are here because you believe that moving this forward is one of the most important initiatives you can work on, and I agree with you. We as an organization, as Rotary International, for 40 years have laid a claim that polio is our #1 corporate priority, and it is. But the lessons from that, if we hadn't have taken the lessons from that, we wouldn't be where we are today. And that means building community infrastructure, health systems, being able to raise up people to take care of themselves. Our polio infrastructure has shut down Ebola. It has been able to pivot to deal with COVID in real time. And it has informed us that building infrastructure in communities and empowering people to take care of each other, we are able to do things that government hasn't even been able to accomplish. And so yes, I think you should clap for that. And I say that as we because it's we, a collective. We, a collective that understand eradicating a disease is one thing, but I personally believe the larger legacy is the public health infrastructure that will be left behind, not only to deal with polio or malaria or tuberculosis or diarrheal illness or pneumonia, all of the things that we are focused on so passionately and that are making a difference. That is going to be the larger legacy. And right now, my friends, we all know that we're in precarious times. We're in political times where some of this is in jeopardy. Our work could never be more important than it is today, to be advocating, to be working, to finding partners, to working beyond the scope of what government can provide, to understanding that we have a moral, a civil, a intellectual obligation to make sure that we are providing opportunity for these children and their moms and their dads. Earlier today, I was chairing the Council of Past Presidents of Rotary International. We get together at the beginning of the convention to be able to bring everyone up to speed on pertinent issues. And one of the speakers was our International Polio Plus Committee Chair, Mike McGovern. And he shared with us some really interesting and some very pertinent updates about where we are right now. And one of the things that he shared was that the position that we are in right now with polio eradication, if you look at the 12 months, from today back 12 months, we know we have so many cases. If you look at it from 6 months out, it drops dramatically. It drops dramatically. Since 2024, or in 2024, he shared with us that 912 million doses of immunization were given to children. That's not 912 million children who were immunized, because many of them have to have repeated, just like with malaria and the 2 new immunizations, it has to be done in a repeated format. That becomes challenging, but 912 million children. Now, one of the stats that he also shared with us, and it was the one that I was probably, that made me kind of get a little is that with routine immunizations globally, it has dropped now to only 87% of children worldwide receiving routine immunizations in our world. Well, now that may seem like a high number. It's dropping. And I think the advocacy and the voice that we all can provide in this space for immunization is huge. We need to be the ambassadors of this message to make sure that it's not political, that it is about saving children's lives. Integration, integration, integration. Thank you, Narisi. So, my friends, I am here today to offer 2 very simple words. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you are doing to make this a priority. Thank you for traveling from many corners of the world to be here as a collective, to share the data, to share the stories, to share the understanding of how we can be our best and how we can make a difference, and how our world is going to look back in history and say, here were brave individuals who said, we can make a difference. We can change the world. We can save children. So I hope when you walk away tonight, when you're in the reception, I hope you get a chance to give each other a handshake, a hug, to look each other in the eye and say, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do. Because it is the power of one and the collective of many who make a difference. So on behalf of Rotary International, and I know I speak for our partners who are all sitting in this room today, thank you so much for your kind attention. I hope many of you are going to be enjoying our Rotary International Convention. And to all of you, just from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you.